Hello, and welcome to the Chaplain's Compass, where we are navigating the waters of spiritual care and chaplaincy. My name is John Betts.
And I'm Elise Tremaine, and I am pumped to be back with the Chaplain's Compass.
We are back. The holiday season, and then the summer season, and the spring season, and the time during APC. It just seems like a lot of time has passed. But yeah, we're so happy to come back, and it sounds like we're coming back with full force because we have an amazing leader and person uh, with us who is just I've known this person since the days of graduate school, uh, and I'm just excited to have her. Her name is Inetta Reddell, and she is the current APC president. And we'll get to all of her many accomplishments just in talking about her experiences and a lot of where she's been. So
Thank you so much, Inetta, for being here. We're so excited to talk to you.
It is my pleasure to be here.
I did not know that you and John went back so far ago, but the more I learn about you, Inetta, the more that I realize that you've done. You've worked in such diverse settings. You've done so many different things. Just some of the settings that I know that you have experience in are trauma care, prison, community ministry. Now you work at retirement care at Mayo Clinic, and you also have served on the APC board for a long time. So, can we just start at the beginning? And can you just tell us, how did you get into chaplaincy in the first place? What drew you to be a chaplain, and how has your calling evolved throughout the years?
Well, I must say that my experience with clinical pastoral education profoundly prepared me for my ministry. After graduating from seminary, I became acutely aware of how much I still had to learn, in all honesty. You know, Well, seminary provided me with theological and biblical, training and knowledge. It was my time in CPE that truly transformed my understanding of ministry within a clinical framework, if that makes sense.
yeah.
John can tell stories about way back in the day, because we went to seminary together and in my book, we see the stellar theological, um, I think, foundation. Wouldn't you say, John?
It's definitely a place where I needed to be at the time. Yeah.
Exactly. However, I gained invaluable insights into pastoral identity and the action, reflection, action model first in a prison environment setting, and later a level one trauma center. And these experiences have significantly shaped who I am today as a chaplain at a university hospital system. And additionally, I cannot overlook the impactful training that I received at Covenant Health System in Texas and University um, Medical Center in Lubbock, Texas. I believe that I was moved by the compassion shown um, to me by the many individuals that I encountered in the prison setting. And I was torn between prison ministry and hospital ministry. And in fact, I didn't know if I wanted to be um, uh, going to prison chaplaincy and if I had to choose. But I knew in that setting as a chaplain for juveniles at Cook County Juvenile Detention Center, I would have ended up um, having an orphanage
Ah, yeah.
simply because I felt so compelled to help. And I knew that I was overextending myself. So I recognized the need um, to try to move in an area that will better serve me and better serve others. It's sort of like, when you first uh, start your career in chaplaincy and you have to learn how not to follow the patient, you know? So I completed my training at Covenant Health System in Lubbock, Texas. And it was there that I truly flourished and developed my identity and sense of calling as a chaplain.
So I'd love to hear, do you have any stories of that kind of resonate with the formation of your identity of when you were providing care?
Oh, say more.
Oh, like I mean you had mentioned like prison chaplaincy uh and also taking care in a level one trauma center. Uh I'd love to hear like what were some of the times of when you provided care that you're just drawn and started thinking, "Oh, this is this is where my pastoral identity, my spiritual care identity is being developed. I get why people do this."
My very first conference that my supervisor, CP supervisor, took me to was a joint RIM and ACPE conference in Memphis, Tennessee. At that conference, I saw so many people that looked like me. And at the time, the president of APC was a female. Now, to me, I was captivated by the insights and the connections that I gained from that conference, especially when I met the female president of the Association of Professional Chaplains. To me, that was very inspiring because to me, I felt very included in a space that was pushing boundaries at a time that I needed to feel that. So it made me realize the limitless opportunities within these organizations. And it ignited a passion in me to pursue getting involved, which ultimately led to the role of how I started the whole trajectory of getting involved in, APC on committees and showing up to events and joining the board and eventually becoming president.
Speaking of pushing the limits and having a role model that you can look up to, you have been that person now for countless others because you're the first Black American woman to serve as APC president. So even though, yes, we've been pushing the boundaries as an organization, it still took 79 years for this milestone, and you're the first one, and I know you've been the first one in many different settings, but at APC specifically to serve as president. And so I just imagine how many people are able to go to conference now. And like for instance, this last conference where you spoke and gave the president's address, how many people have felt included and represented and inspired by seeing you on that in that role. So I'm curious, Anetta, what has it meant for you personally, and what do you hope that it will mean for people who come after you, for you to have been or to be the first Black American woman to be president of APC?
No, I feel incredibly humbled and honored to have the opportunity to be part of this journey. I hope that I have met the expectations set forth by those who came before me. It's evident that our organization has made significant strides, and my prayer is that we continue to break barriers and set new records, demonstrating that we truly represent our members and the diverse communities that we serve. And we must ask ourselves, how can we be effective caregivers and advocates for everyone while being intolerant towards some of our colleagues. It's crucial to consider how we relate to those who may make us uncomfortable. This moment holds profound significance for me because it signifies that our organization is not stagnant. Rather, we're making meaningful progress towards inclusivity and creating brave, safe spaces for open dialogue. And my only hope is that APC continues to champion the values that unite us.
Yeah, I completely affirm that. It's one of those important things. One of the things I talk about it where I work is that we are stronger, we are better, we have greater opportunities to develop in a healthy way when we have more diversity, more voices at the table.
Yeah. My heartfelt wish, John, is for those who follow in my footsteps, is that they continue to shatter ceiling and strive for even greater heights. I hope they embrace the challenges ahead with courage.
Well, and going with that, I'd love to hear what's been one of the greatest learning points or lessons that you've had during your presidency?
Well, what has surprised me the most is patience and tolerance. In this role, there will always, I think, be challenges that one will have to, if you will, address. And the key question is how we choose to respond when faced with um, intolerance or when our patience is tested. And it's crucial to recognize our limitations and to navigate and know how you navigate in stressful situations.
Do you have like an example? I love stories. I apologize. I'm all about like we're as chaplains, we're storytellers, and one of the pieces that I always love hearing is the application of how you're taking this and putting it to practice. Because uh, I find that I learn so much from just listening to you. So
So, navigating through stressful situations with integrity, ensuring that we do not compromise ourselves or others, this balancing act requires collaboration. It's not like one person uh goes off and and makes a decision. It's essential to approach these challenges as a team rather than as a lone ranger. We have a saying on the board that we are one voice. When one operates as a lone ranger, the organization can be put at risk. Wouldn't you agree with something like that?
I think collaboration really has, I feel like, has been a strength at times and a challenge at times for APC and for chaplains in general. And you talking about patience, it takes time to build collaboration and trust and networks. And sometimes you mess up and you have to rebuild.
And it's hard work. I remember when I was in school, I used to hate those projects when I had to work as a team. I hated them. I was like, "Oh, are you kidding me?" It's hard work. And I'm not going to sit here and say it's easy peasy. We as a board, we wrestle over, some of the decisions that we have to make. We don't all agree, but what makes it great is that we come together as a team and come with a ultimate, uh, a great outcome. And that's what makes it so great.
What would you say, Anetta, are the most critical partnerships or collaboration groups for the Association of Professional Chaplains right now, or even for chaplaincy as a whole?
I do believe that all our strategic partners and all of our affiliates play a crucial and significant role in our mission. And I say that because it's essential for us to maintain an inclusive approach rather than one of exclusivity, especially in a world that is constantly evolving. Isolating any organization could ultimately be detrimental to our progress. Therefore, if an organization's missions and visions and values align with those of APC and uphold the best practices for our members, we wholeheartedly welcome those partnerships. And we recognize that such collaborations can enrich and enhance APC. That's how we started that affiliate with CAS, with the Canadian Association. And so I say that it only enhanced membership, fostering a stronger and more supportive community for everyone involved.
Yeah. No, I think you're absolutely right. It's APC's role, it includes a lot of pieces of, including shouldering and enhancing the role of chaplains. Because I mean, if we're not blazing that trail, uh, if that organization is not blazing the trail, then who will? So making sure that we are working with other partnerships, so that we all can work together, so that you're right, together we are stronger. I don't want to put words in your mouth. Is that similar to what you're saying?
Just like as we function as a board.
To stay with this topic about APC and its role in chaplaincy, there is a strategic plan. So, for people who may be listening, who may not be super familiar, there's a strategic plan that is, I guess, rewritten every year, and we track progress for this plan. And it has 5 pillars currently: member engagement, advocacy, certification, partnerships, and addressing systemic racism. And I was wondering, Aneta, with your experience with the board all these years, but especially now as the president, where are you seeing work that is feeling very exciting to you or feeling like we're making progress? And which of these pillars feel most urgent to you? And maybe it's the same, but maybe it's different. I don't know. But what is drawing your attention right now?
Well, I think what draws my attention is member engagement because it's crucial. Um, because without actively connecting with our members, APC simply cannot thrive. It is vital that we prioritize our members and continually explore ways to serve and support them. And I think we do a great job there. And everything we do from advocacy and certification to partnerships and addressing systemic racism stems from the needs of our members. If we do not have our members to engage with and address their needs, we must ask ourselves, who are we doing this for?
Tell me more about how. What are some ideas that you get excited about regarding engaging the members? Because I agree. That's uh, people give the money, and so you want to make sure that, hey, this is what we're doing with it. So
Well, um, one of the things, this podcast.
We agree.
This podcast, for one, is one example that I think helps with member engagement.
I agree. Everybody wants to know. Awesome. You know, dollars and cents. I'm paying money for this, but also, what I'm giving time. So where, how are we using this? So
That's, I think, where the clinical educator part comes out of me because of my innovative side, you know, um, wanting to, I like to see a little a person come in this little cocoon, right? And then just watch them become this butterfly and blossom. Well, that's what all of us chaplains are. We are all so wonderfully, intricately unique. When I be stalking people, I be looking all around, like on our forums and everything. I'm like, man, we are so creative. If we could just take all of that. I mean, we're writers, we're movie producers. I mean, we have so many different talents. And what I tell my students, yeah, just look at what I do. I'm a pilot. I I'm an actress. I'm a model. Besides just being a chaplain, but you can't lose your integrity. You bring that inside the room. Okay. Now, if every chaplain tapped into their authentic self, right, and bring that into ministry, because when you engage someone, they want to know what is it about you beside just you. So innovation, this is how you engage membership. Don't just try to bring APC's agenda. Engage your members to have them bring their ideas, their mindsets to see how you can collaborate together and become innovative because everybody has an idea. That's why I use media and do research. It's vitally important to not stay stagnant and to continuously evolve. That is the best advice that I could put out there. It might make you feel uncomfortable, but then how can you, if you're uncomfortable, how are you going to engage to somebody you're supposed to be providing ministry to?
I remember you talking about that in your president's address at the last conference, the authenticity, the importance of authenticity, but also the importance of connection, genuine connection, which I think goes along with that authenticity. So you mentioned innovation, finding your voice, bringing your truth, your whole self to chaplaincy. Uh, so you may have answered this question already, but maybe there are other thoughts you've got. How can chaplains model, you think, and cultivate that kind of authenticity in organizations where that's not what we're measuring. We're measuring productivity. We're measuring um, numbers and efficiency. So, so how do you see us cultivating connection and authenticity in those settings?
I think authenticity and leadership within a national organization like APC must be synonymous with transparency. And I would go even further to assert that integrity is equally vital. Allow me to elaborate. As an APC leader, it is my responsibility, right, to represent a diverse community that not only interface with various cultures, but also champion intercultural understanding, right? This requires embracing a wide range of cultural, generational, and binary perspectives. So, to truly foster inclusivity, we must ensure that our practices and policies reflect the diverse voices within our community. And this commitment to authenticity and integrity will enable us to create an environment where everyone feels valued and empowered to contribute. And ultimately strengthening our organization, I think, as a whole.
Yeah, I do think that chaplains bring that kind of lens maybe in places where that's not how everyone else might be looking at.
Yeah.
You're talking about bringing your whole self to chaplaincy, and that's so intriguing to me. So, one other thing that I remember, Inetta, you talking about in your president's address is your journey as a single mother and resilience, and how much that has taught you, how that has um, formed you and your children. And I'm wondering if that personal experience has also shaped the way that you show up as a chaplain, the way that you care for families and patients, and maybe even now an organization like APC. Have you had any thoughts about that?
I am proud to celebrate 24 years of sobriety.
That's awesome.
Congratulations.
And thank you. And the principles of the 12-step program have instilled in me a desire to give back, right? So, this commitment is my way of honoring a journey that has provided so much to me with so much. And one of the guiding lights in my life is the spirit of joy. And I know, like, I remember I worked at one job and one of my managers was like, I know now you might need to tone it down a little because I was good morning, like, you know, an educator that I really truly admire is Bill Hooks because she is one of my dearest because one of her what I like about her is that she's an encourager. And if you have ever those who I had wonderful experience of teaching will attest that I often tell them I am your number one fan, right? And what brings me the greatest joy is being um, part of my students' journey, cheering them on, supporting them, and sharing in that ride as they navigate their paths. Now, each student's journey might not be wonderful walk in the park. It's like a unique composition. That's why music, dance, fashion, and all of that is very intricately, I think, intertwined in who I am as a person. Melodies and dances remind me a lot of how my interactions with students are because it may range from a jazz to a tango to a waltz and even a blues. But you never know what you might get, but it's their masterpiece and you are along for that ride. Does that make sense?
I love that analogy.
And that's how it is with my kiddos too. And they'll tell you.
Oh my gosh. Kids typically do that. If you ever want to be humbled, just talk to your kid.
Yes.
So I know that you've, in addition to your uh, very strong career experience and experience in terms of uh, being a clinical chaplain and being in prison chaplaincy, you've also studied abroad and you've traveled abroad to England and Israel and Romania and Greece. How did experiencing those different cultural places and experiencing how they've influenced your spirituality and influenced the way that you practice today?
But I would say that this journey has deepened my understanding of various cultural contexts and has encouraged me to maintain an open mind regarding different religious practices and rituals. Um, meaning becoming very ecumenical, by embracing diversity. I've learned to appreciate the rich tapestry of beliefs and traditions that shapes people's lives. This openness not only enhance my ability to connect with others, but also enriches my own spiritual practices, allowing me to approach each interaction with compassion and respect for the unique perspectives, that individuals bring to the table. You know, I'm a Christian, but I have a very diverse family, if you will. And in our diversity, I have been able to appreciate that so that when I encounter others, I am able to appreciate the wisdom that I have from that, but also in knowing that just because my family looks like this doesn't necessarily mean so that it transfers onto that family. And sometimes people make that mistake. And so to always be willing to um, be in a posture of learning, I think, um, helps with cultural identity and respect. And that's how I like to present myself and hope others try to emulate.
It's a great way to describe a posture of learning, humility.
And I'm just so grateful for the journey. It's just been an incredible journey. I feel like that butterfly that's still, like coming out of the cocoon, so to speak, because you're still always learning. I think I'll be the consummate learner.
Oh, I'm sure.
Said like CEC.
Yes, touche.
What do you hope will be the future of chaplaincy in the next decade?
Love! I sincerely no, seriously, I sincerely hope that love and tolerance remain guiding beacons for the field. I'm serious. Because when we embody these two essential components, I mean, if chaplains aren't being these beacons, who else is going to do it, right? When we embody these two essential components, we create an environment where we can truly listen to one another and make room for each other's perspectives. This openness is just not it not it not only fosters collaboration, but also empowers us to continue our meaningful work, John, with compassion and understanding. Alicia, by prioritizing love and tolerance, we can deepen our connections and enhance our ability to support those that we serve. So if we start there, then that disarms all the egos, that disarms all the agendas, and then the work of chaplaincy can get done instead of who's better than this person, who's better than that person, or who's going to do this and who's going to do that. It's not about that. It's about chaplaincy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and bringing back to the humanity that unites us because Like you said, who else is going to bring humanity into prison or healthcare if chaplains aren't doing it?
It's just love.
Speaking of love, tell us about Samson because we know you love him. He loves you. Uh, and everything that brings you joy. I know you have lots of hobbies. You mentioned a few today, but there's even more that I know of. But what brings you joy and what role does Samson play in your life?
Well, Samson entered my life at a pivotal time moment following the loss of my former husband. And that experience left me grappling with PTSD. And Samson was my lifeline. And fencing emerged as an outlet for me during that challenging time. And prior to that, I had also established a ministry called Pilots for Christ at a church where I served, which inspired me to pursue my pilot's license. And gardening is yet another therapeutic, outlet for me as it allows me to step outside of myself and engage with the world around me. But I would be remiss if I did not mention my grandkids, right?
And I don't know that we explain who Samson is for people who don't know him.
I gotta go all around the block, walking back, right?
Okay, gotcha. I gotcha.
All of those people and all of those things give me immense joy and connection and help me escape. But my Samson, he has been the one of the greatest love. Oh, and my mom, I didn't say my mom, right? Samson is one smart animal. He is my service dog. And Samson is the type of is to me, I think he's a person. He's my lifeline.
And he's always with you, isn't he? Like you bring him on your trips.
I take him everywhere. Yeah.
He's very well behaved.
So one thing Samson will do if he's trained for my headaches. Yeah. So he knows how to open up the door, turn on the light, pull the covers back, and wake me up. And yeah, and if my headache is like a 6 or a 9, he'll stay in the bed with me. But if it's like a 2, he's like, "Oh, it's all about me." It's all about me. Let's go. This day is all about me. You're my service person.
No, I love that. That's so endearing to just hear that. I love that.
My advice is for everyone to get a Samson. My youngest son has Samson's brother. Yep. And Samson's parents live at the corner of my son's block, the breeders. Yeah.
Is there anything that you feel like we should have asked or that you would like to talk a little bit more of, Inetta, as you are nearing the end of your presidency? Not quite there yet.
I would just like to say that my presidency was a great presidency, and that it was great because we have a great board and we have a great staff. And I am especially proud of Elise and John and this podcast. And I wish it its greatest success. And I am just cannot say how wonderful that I think that of a great job you guys are doing.
Oh, thank you so much.
And I'm honored and humbled to be one of your guests. Be the first president to be.
Well, we're honored and humbled that you've spent this time with us talking and inspiring everyone who's new to chaplaincy, new to APC, but also who has served for a while, to see the love that you do and the joy that you bring to the profession. So that's so important.
Thank you.
And the fact that your ministry, what I love about one of the things that really uh, came as one of the highlights to this was just the idea of love and tolerance. Chaplains as a wonderful catalyst for the world.
There's no other takeaway for each and every one of us to be our authentic self.
I love it. And if anybody has not been to a conference and wants to listen to Anetta's address, it is on the website. So if you go to the APC address, and we'll put it on the description, you can click on events, conference highlights, and watch that video. Thank you, Anetta. It was great talking to you today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And now it's time for the non-anxious presence with John and
Elise. John, I have found this conversation so inspiring, and she is such a joyful person. I mean, when she talks about joy, that totally she does embody that. But the other thing that I really admire about Amanda is her courage, and I think she mentioned that as well as a something that we need as chaplains or that we embody in chaplaincy. But I see that with Inetta, just with the courage that she has had to push limits, to do new things, innovation, but also just to be herself, and I love how she ended with authenticity because it does take courage to show up as yourself. And I'll say one more thing before I'll ask you about some of your takeaways, but I love that she's the ultimate hype person. Like, you need people who are hype people, and even before we started recording, she was already hyping us up and, hyping up the podcast, and she even did that during the episode, and I really appreciate that. It makes you feel good.
oh my gosh, yeah, that she uh she was very encouraging. But the thing I love about it was it's all from a very genuine place. Like she just loves uh being able to notice certain things that are just true and just speak truth to that. So yeah, no, everybody needs a good hype person. I agree with that.
Oh, well, and because I have been serving on the board for the last couple of years, I can say that it's really genuine. Like, there have been times when she has sent me a text message just to be like, "Are you okay? I thought, you know, you looked a little worried or something," or, I was late to the conference one year. My plane didn't get in time, and she was sending me a text message saying, "It's okay. We've got you. We're gonna save you a seat." Just always caring and reaching out, and that inspires me to do that for other people because, I mean, you have to get out of yourself to even be able to notice people around you and be that open.
I love her discussion of when she first attended. It was a joint RIM and APC conference, and I think the first conference I ever attended was with that same president. I think it was Margie Bowers, and I remember going and working out on the treadmill, and Margie Bowers was doing the treadmill next to me at the conference. I was like, "Oh, cool! Yay! I'm working right next to the president. That's fun." But it was one of the pieces of why I bring that up is being able to see that our organization, we are truly stronger when we are seeking after increased diversity, increased engagement for the purpose of not because it's about growth, for growth's sake, but we need to learn how to increase and diversify our practices because our society is becoming more diverse.
And to go along with that, she talked a lot about how chaplains are really creative and innovative. And I think that's absolutely true. And I think maybe we don't either recognize that enough or speak about that enough because chaplains really are making stuff up all the time and doing new things. I mean, I was talking to somebody about this at the conference, actually, this last conference, about how much chaplaincy is like improv. I mean, you come into somebody's room, you have to establish some rapport with them, some trust, and then all of a sudden you might also be creating a ritual for them or a prayer. And it is. It's a lot about creativity, improvisation, um, and pushing boundaries, and bringing yourself into that conversation is all part of that. So I love how she talks about how, she's all these things, and she comes into chaplaincy as a whole person and doesn't feel like she has to hide behind some of these limits that we can put on ourselves. What else has stayed with you from that conversation?
One of the things that is so incredibly important to me, especially because working in various different places, I always want people to experience me as authentic and genuine, and I don't want to ever come across like I'm trying to put on airs. And I love that was a continual message that Inetta had. This, this, the idea and the importance of how that's central in being a leader, because people want to know whether or not you're just blowing hot smoke at them or you are genuinely there with them and you have that presence. So, and I loved experiencing that firsthand here from Inetta.
I related to her when she talked about coming into that conference and seeing the female president and feeling like this is a place where I can be myself and I can fulfill my calling. As a woman, I related to that because Annette and I are both endorsed by the Cooperative Baptist Fellowship, which does recognize women in ministry, unlike some other Baptist denominations. But even within CBF, there are not that many churches looking for, ministers. And so I, coming out of seminary, was really feeling limited in where I could fulfill my ministerial calling as a woman, feeling like there were a lot of barriers. And so when I found chaplaincy, I really felt like, oh, this is a place where I can be a minister and I can fulfill this calling, this vocation, and I could see myself um, working in ways that maybe in a church, especially, depending on where you live or what denomination you're in, you can really be limited as a woman or maybe as a person of color or so many other things that may get in the way.
Yeah, shout out to Renee Owen, the endorser for Cooperative Baptist. She actually was in my Renee was actually the current position where I am at Wellstar. Renee was the executive director uh, before she moved and became the endorser. So shout out to Renee.
So one more thing that Aneta talked about was love, and that word can be surprising. Actually, I'll say this one more thing. I'm sorry, I don't want to take up too much time, but love. But Aneta actually gifted the board a gift by a book by Brene Brown called "Dare to Lead," and there's a part of that book that Brene talks about a military leader who was following Brené's teachings about vulnerability, and she started looking through military manuals. And I may not be remembering the story exactly, but as I remember, she found an old military manual book, and they had the word love all over it. Like you are supposed to love your man, love your staff. And when she looks at the current manuals, that word has been eliminated because, we've professionalized so many things that we've taken love out of the equation. And so I love that. I love that she brought up love. So we're going to close out with a quote from Bell Hook that she also mentioned as one of her role models. And Bell Hook says, "The moment we choose to love, we begin to move against domination, against oppression. The moment we choose to love, we begin to move towards freedom, to act in ways that liberate ourselves and others." This is from Outlaw Culture Resisting Representations.
That's a great way to finish.
Thank you all for listening. We love you. Love our listeners.
So if you want to show us love, like and subscribe, call the 800 number and give us ideas on additional things that you would like to see and hear on this podcast, because this is your podcast as much as it's ours. So uh, your suggestions are taken very seriously.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks, everybody. Bye.